It has been Community Outreach Coordinator for NC Stop Human Trafficking and MC for our virtual fall fundraiser, BBQ, Bluegrass Brew. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We are not only trying to raise money to fill our funding gap, which I'll tell you about in a little bit, but we're also celebrating our 10-year anniversary. We couldn't be more happy to celebrate that anniversary with you. You're going to be hearing from past board members, current board members, community leaders, our founder, and you're going to be hearing from organizational members about our impact in the human trafficking movement across the state of North Carolina. We have had a funding shortfall this year. Due to COVID-19, our fair trade shows have been canceled across the board, and that has led to a $5,500 funding shortfall. If you'd like to make a donation to help us fill that shortfall, please go to charity.gofundme.com/BBB Fall Fundraiser. That link is going to be posted in the description of this video. We also have a virtual auction tonight as well. We've all had to pivot, and so we're pivoting from an in-person fundraiser to a virtual one, and we couldn't do it without having a virtual auction as well. So if you want to make a bid on Tarboro Brewing Company beer, Duck Rabbit Brewery beer, gift cards to various barbecue establishments across Eastern North Carolina, as well as some really cool swag, you can go to biddingout.com/NC Stop Human Trafficking. That link is also posted in the description of this video. Now let's hear from NC Stop Human Trafficking founder Pam Strickland talk about how we got started.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Pam Strickland, and I'm the founder of North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking. I often get asked how I got interested in the topic of human trafficking, and the truth is, I was pulled into it. In 2006, I was working full-time at my family's business. I was married, had a 6-year-old child, and was very active in my church. Well, I attended a missions conference with a group from my church, and the keynote speaker at the conference was Gary Haugen. He's the founder of International Justice Mission. He began sharing with us about his work on the issue of human trafficking. And then he showed us footage from a rescue that his group had done in a brothel in Asia. The footage showed these tiny little girls who were all huddled, terrified together in a corner. And I just couldn't believe that this was happening in the year 2006, that families were selling their little girls into a brothel, that adult men were paying to rape these children. I felt called to do something, but I didn't know what I could do. Shortly after I returned home from the conference, a friend of mine told me about a mission trip that was going to the tiny little country of Moldova. Moldova is a former Soviet state and the poorest country in Europe. At that time, it was also ground zero for sex traffickers looking for vulnerable children. I went on that mission trip, and then I subsequently led 3 additional trips back to the country of Moldova. 2 team members on those trips eventually helped found North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking. Steve Harding and Connie Clark both became founder members of the board of directors for our nonprofit. So all during this time, as I was leading mission trips to Moldova, I was also learning more about human trafficking. I was learning that it happens here in the United States, here in North Carolina, and here in Pitt County. Again, I wasn't really sure what to do about that, but I felt led to educate the community. And so I joined with like-minded people, and we had some community forums where we intended to educate folks about the issue of human trafficking. Unfortunately, human trafficking was still a pretty new topic then, and people really just didn't want to hear about it. So our events were not very well attended. So we decided to have a walk. We joined with a national organization, and in 2009, we had our first walk. It actually went really well. We had over 100 people there. We received good press coverage and created a lot of awareness around the issue. So I thought I was done, but God had other ideas. There were more people to be educated. There were people who wanted to join the human trafficking movement, and it was my role to be a leader for that movement. We realized that if we were going to continue to educate people, that we were going to need a name and a bank account. So we decided to create a nonprofit, and we named it Eastern North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking Now. In the fall of 2010, we became official. We received our letter certifying us as a 501c3 nonprofit. We were an all-volunteer organization in those early years. And then in 2014, we received a grant and we were able to hire our first employee. In 2018, we were able to hire our first community outreach coordinator, Melinda Sampson. Her experience, her enthusiasm, and her passion for the issue have been an incredible, valuable tool to this nonprofit. She has brought our education and awareness materials to a new level, and she's a joy to work with. Last year, in 2019, my family's business closed, and I became a full-time employee of the nonprofit. The nonprofit never would have survived without the support of my father. He encouraged me to spend time working on the nonprofit, even though that took time away from our family's business. For the entire existence of the nonprofit, we have enjoyed free rent and utilities from the family's business. My mother is another reason for the success of the organization. She has been an enthusiastic and tireless volunteer the entire time, always willing to give her time and attention to whatever needed doing. And of course, my husband and my son bear the burden of my nonprofit work as well. Their support of my work makes it possible for me to continue. Last year, as our board contemplated the coming of our 10th anniversary, we realized that we had outgrown our name. We decided to change our name to more accurately reflect the statewide impact that our work was having. So we became North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking. We also decided that our logo should likewise reflect that impact. And so Melinda designed a beautiful new logo for us as well. We revised our vision to reflect our statewide impact as well. It became a state free of human trafficking. And our mission is now creating communities actively working to abolish human trafficking. We also wanted to invite people to join with us in this anti-human trafficking movement. So we became a membership organization. We invite you to join us. In order to live into our vision of a state free of human trafficking, other changes will be necessary. Most importantly, we will need additional staff in order to reach our full potential. You've brought us this far, and I am confident that you will fuel the rest of the journey with us.
This might be a virtual event, but we still have wonderful sponsors, and we want to thank our gold sponsors this evening. Take a look at who they are. It's time for Wildwood String Band.
Whoa.
All right, we are Wildwood, and we're going to sing a song called Cold Sheets of Rain.
I see the lightning flashing, I hear the thunder roar, somewhere on the dark side of town. My baby's with a new love, the wind's howling low, I should be with her right now.
Cold sheets of rain pouring down.
Is my love safe from
Where is she sleeping now? Cold sheets of rain pouring down.
I worry so about her, she's afraid of storms. She needs someone to ease her mind. She needs someone to love her and to keep her safe and warm. Someone who's patient and kind.
Cold sheets of rain pouring down.
Is my love safe and warm?
Where is she sleeping now? Cold sheets of rain pouring down. Cold sheets of rain pouring down.
Is my love safe and warm?
Where is she sleeping now? Cold sheets of rain pouring down. Cold sheets of rain pouring down.
All right.
It has been 10 years since NC Stop Human Trafficking has been founded. Listen to past board members tell you a little bit about why they decided to join the movement and be leaders. It has been 10 years since NC Stop Human Trafficking has been founded. Listen to past board members tell you a little bit about why they decided to join the movement and be leaders of this organization.
I am Nona Amina Mensah. I joined the board of directors after I had been a volunteer for a couple of years doing various things. And I learned firsthand how many wonderful, vital services that this nonprofit does. And this led me to want another experience in joining the board of directors. And when I did this, I learned yet another wonderful aspect of this organization, the dedication and the care that people put into the work that they do for others is just amazing. So I want to thank them personally for allowing me to have this opportunity of service. And I want to thank all of you who support this wonderful organization. Please continue to do so. Peace and blessings to you all.
Congratulations, North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking Now. My name is Connie Clark, and it was my privilege to serve as one of the founding board members of this important organization. I believed in its mission then, and I believe in its mission now. Through its work, over the past decade, thousands of people across our state have been educated about the issue of human trafficking and empowered with the knowledge that all of us need to be able to help to make a positive difference. So, happy 10th anniversary. Keep up the good work. And I hope that one day soon we'll be able to say that human trafficking truly was stopped for good.
Hi, I'm Jeff Boswell. About 10 years ago, I saw an ad in the Daily Reflector for persons interested in learning more about the effects of human trafficking. I attended that meeting and was asked to be on the board. I served on the board for about 4 years and have continued to support North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking since then. I want to say a big thank you to Pam Strickland for her untiring efforts working locally and at the national level. And thank you to everyone on the board now and who's ever served on the board and anyone that's ever volunteered with this organization. Happy 10th anniversary, North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking.
So you've heard from Pam already about how we got started and what 10 years in the movement looks like. Now, listen to her tell us a little bit about what we do.
So I shared with you what our vision and our mission are, but what do we actually do? So we have 4 main core actions that we utilize to help us achieve our mission. The first of those is education. And we educate in several different ways. One of the ways that we do general awareness work is that we go out into the community during community health fairs or other community events, sometimes at Pitt Community College or at ECU, and just have a table and materials and share information about human trafficking in that way. Another way that we create general awareness is by conducting a training that we call Human Trafficking 101. This is a 2-hour training that is about what human trafficking is, what it looks like, what actual red flags are that community members can be on the lookout for, and how to report human trafficking. And the third leg of our education is to train specific professionals who might actually encounter victims of human trafficking in the course of their daily jobs. So that would include people like law enforcement, social workers, healthcare providers, mental health care providers, teachers, and of course, hotel staff. So again, those are people who would encounter potential victims almost on a daily basis. Now, as you can imagine, our education looks a lot different right now than it did last year at this time. We've had to really change with our environment and pivot and do things in a new and different way. So what that meant for us is that Melinda and I had to learn how to conduct webinars. And so we have done that. One of the things that we decided almost immediately is that we would conduct Human Trafficking 101 webinars and that we would do it monthly. Well, conducting webinars has ended up being a real silver lining in the storm that has been COVID-19. That's because we've been able to impact more people through our webinars than we did through our in-person trainings. For instance, since we've been holding the Human Trafficking 101 webinars monthly, we have been reaching about 100 people per webinar. We have impacted almost 600 people through our HT 101, as we call them, webinars. The other thing that it's done is it's increased the geographic region that we've been able to impact. We typically, when we conducted a HT 101, we were in a library locally, and we might have 20, 30, 40 people there from the local area. But now we have people registering from all over North Carolina, from other states, and even from other countries to learn about human trafficking through our webinars. Another positive that has resulted is that we've been able to increase the number of topics that we conduct trainings on. So we have created new trainings. For instance, I do one called Sex Trafficking. What's porn got to do with it? Melinda has created one on tips for online safety for kids. She's created another one, tips for talking to kids about porn, boundaries, and consent. We created one on labor trafficking. We created one on an overview of the anti-human trafficking movement in North Carolina. And we are open to creating new and other webinars. So if there's a topic related to human trafficking that you're interested in, please share ideas with us. So the good news is that we've been able to reach thousands of people through these webinars that we've created over the last several months. So education has not stopped in the time of COVID. We have been moving forward with our mission in that regard. Another important action that we are so enthusiastic about is collaboration. Now, human trafficking is a huge, huge issue, and no one individual or one agency could possibly hope to solve that issue. We need everyone working together to address the issue of human trafficking. And so collaboration is incredibly important. We have always been a part of the North Carolina Coalition Against Human Trafficking, and we even created a local version of that here, which I'm going to tell you about more in detail shortly. The thing I do want to mention right now about coalition and collaboration is that because of what we've learned through facilitating the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking, we are able to assist other communities in building their own coalitions. So again, if you are in a community that doesn't have its own coalition and you'd be willing to work to help start one, we would love to work with you on that. So please contact us. The third leg of our actions that we do to achieve our vision is our legislative agenda. Now, as you can
It has been 10 years since NC Stop Human Trafficking has been founded. Listen to past board members tell you a little bit about why they decided to join the movement and be leaders of this organization.
I am Nona.
It has been
So please contact us. The third leg of our actions that we do to achieve our vision is our legislative agenda. Now, as you can
NC Stop Human Trafficking couldn't do what we do without community leaders. I want you to hear from the community leaders that support us tonight. We'll be hearing from Mayor PJ Conley, Sheriff Paula Dance, who is also a member of NC Stop Human Trafficking, and Ferris Dixon, District Attorney to Pitt County, who is also a board member of NC Stop Human Trafficking.
Hi, I am Pitt County Sheriff Paula Dance. Human trafficking is a very serious and real issue in our community, state, and world. As sheriff, I recognized that this was an area that needed to be focused on. So I created a position with an investigator to focus on the problems and issues with human trafficking in our community. This is a crime like many other crimes that occur every day across our community and world. Who will speak for the victims? Who will reach out to those in need who feel that there is nowhere else they can turn? Generally, police officers and law enforcement are the first line of defense when it comes to dealing with those issues. I am very proud to be a member of the board of directors and pledge to continue to support them in ways that law enforcement does in making sure that we are finding and investigating and providing resources or connecting them to resources that they so desperately need. I ask that you all please consider donating and supporting this very worthy cause. Thank you.
I'm Ferris Dixon, Pitt County District Attorney and board member of North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking. I support the organization because of the importance of its work. The work is so vital that I've assigned a team of attorneys to handle those cases. Likewise, I'd like to say congratulations on your 10th anniversary, and may you have many more as long as we need you.
Hey, this is Mayor PJ Connolly, Mayor of the City of Greenville. I want to say congratulations on 10 years of service to our community, and thank you for all the hard work that you put in for anti-human trafficking in our area. We appreciate everything that you've done and all the initiatives that you put together to keep those most vulnerable in our community safe and away from human trafficking. We look forward to partnering with you over the next several years and continue to see your success and all the great work that you'll do in our community. Thanks again.
You've now heard from our past board members and our community leaders. Now I want you to hear from our current board members and how they're feeling about the future and the direction of NC Stop Human Trafficking.
My name is Marie Welch. I am a member of the board of North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking now. I have been a member for a few years, and I first became interested in human trafficking when it was time for me to retire from nursing at Biden Medical Center. And I wanted something to do and to be involved in. I had learned a little bit about human trafficking in Virginia by one of the associations up there, learned about the association here in Eastern North Carolina and contacted Pam. I did some volunteer work for several years and really enjoyed being out in the public, talking to people about what human trafficking was, what the importance of buying fair trade items, being able to sell them at like the Christmas show and different shows throughout the year. And then I was asked to be on the board. One of the really great things that happened, and I'm very grateful to Pam for it, because we worked together, myself, another nurse, and Pam worked together to put a presentation together for the North Carolina Nurses Association. Nursing at that time was not all that aware of human trafficking or the red signs or flags that were involved in trafficking, and it was particularly important for people in the emergency department and in other parts of the profession. So that presentation was done at one of the Eastern North Carolina meetings. And since then, involvement with different professions and the increase in education in nursing was awesome. Being on the board allows me to help with moving the program forward. And whenever there is something I can do, I am more than willing to go ahead and do it. I enjoy volunteering with the organization, and I particularly enjoy the education parts of it. Learning more about human trafficking, learning more about prevention is just extremely important. Thank you very much, and I hope you all enjoyed the barbecue.
Hi, my name is Greg James, and I have been a member of the board of directors for NC Stop Human Trafficking since 2014. I became board chair in 2016. My profession is an attorney, being an attorney here in Greenville, and I have just celebrated my 34th year as an attorney here in Pitt County this year. Now, my first connection with NC Stop Human Trafficking came from my relationship with two friends that I met through church at Egmont Baptist Church, our CEO, Pam Strickland, and one of our charter board members, Steve Harding. They both went on 4 mission trips to the country of Moldova, where human trafficking is rampant. And when they came back from those trips, they started sharing what human trafficking is, and also looking to find ways that they could organize to start educating people in our community about human trafficking. And that eventually resulted in the formation of NC Stop Human Trafficking. Now, one of my first points of interest with this organization had to do with the sale of fair trade products. Fair trade products are made in countries around the world by artisans that have particular interest in certain things that they produce. And there is no slave labor, there is no child labor involved, and the people who make these items are given a fair and living wage. And that helps them support their families and also helps keep them from being a victim of human trafficking. Now, I have been to many festivals, many events at churches, the Christmas show at that Pitt Community College does here in Greenville, and sold these items for many years. And that money that is received from those sales helps fund the work of this organization. I later joined the board and have really enjoyed my time of service on the board because I can see the value of the work that we do in informing our community about what human trafficking it is and what a travesty it is, and something that we need to work to stop. If you are interested in contributing your time or helping us financially, then please contact us. Would very much welcome your help.
Good evening. I'm Abby Mullins, the Associate Pastor of Families, Formation, and Community Engagement at the Memorial Baptist Church in Greenville, North Carolina. I also serve as the secretary of the board, and am honored to do so because I understand that human trafficking is something that is right here in our backyard as well as around the world. This horrific act is something that I learned about when I was in college. I started to understand more what was going on and the need for help around the world and right here in our community. As I served and was educated by Cheryl Hooks, an artist at the University of Mount Olive, I understood that it was not something that was just happening to people that you would expect. It's for those you least expect. It's for those who need us and need our time and talents and gifts. So tonight, I say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you to our sponsors who are regularly helping us to make a difference in our community and in our world. You are who help us to thrive. And for all of your hard work and dedication, we are so appreciative. We hope that this event is something that is special for you, that is educational for you, and that you're having a great time being a part of it with us.
Collaboration is everything in the fight against human trafficking across the state of North Carolina. Pam is going to be talking a little bit more about what NC Stop Human Trafficking does to collaborate with other organizations. So with that, listen to Pam discuss the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking.
I mentioned to you earlier how important collaboration is to the anti-human trafficking movement. When I first became interested in human trafficking, as I mentioned, I benefited greatly from the North Carolina Coalition Against Human Trafficking. They are a multidisciplinary network of experts from across the state. There are people in that coalition who are members of law enforcement, who are social workers, who are direct service providers, who are members of the faith community. And at that time, of course, the anti-human trafficking movement was still very young, and I was new to it. But thankfully, they were there and were able to share the knowledge that they had with me. The benefit that I received, and therefore this nonprofit received, from being able to learn from other people across the state who were also engaging in the issue was incredibly valuable. I believed that this model could be replicated and could be really valuable at a local level as well. So in 2016, I started calling people in Pitt County that I thought might be interested in human trafficking and willing to engage the community on the issue. To be honest, I didn't really have a plan. I wanted to see who was willing to work on this issue in our area. And to my delight, many individuals and agencies recognized that human trafficking was a problem and wanted to work to address it in our area. We decided that our vision would be working together as a community to end human trafficking in Pitt County. And our mission is to eradicate human trafficking by empowering organizations and individuals through collaboration, leadership, and training. Every meeting is a learning experience. We have both coalition members and outside speakers to educate us and to train us on human trafficking related issues at every meeting. We also work together to be sure that the needs of human trafficking survivors are met. A recent example is that a human trafficking case manager was working with a survivor who had 2 school-age children. The survivor needed school supplies for those kids, and our coalition members stepped up and immediately provided those. We've engaged every single municipality in Pitt County in the fight against human trafficking. We've done this mostly during January, which is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Each municipality has proclaimed January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month and allowed members of our coalition to attend their January council meetings and present us with a copy of the signed proclamation. We've had community book reads of such Fascinating books as Girls Like Us by sex trafficking survivor Rachel Lloyd. We've hosted events at libraries for young children where we've read books to them about personal safety and their own boundaries. We've led social media campaigns to educate folks about how to prevent human trafficking. And along with Coalition member Teddy Bear Child Advocacy Center, we host a podcast every month about topics like resilience, prevention, and human trafficking. Because of our networking with our coalition members, they share needs for us around policy and legislative changes that are necessary. And we're able to work on those issues and engage people because of our larger platform. You know, I could tell you more, but I think it would be more meaningful for you to hear from some coalition members.
I'm Bonnie Jean Kurz from Teddy Bear Children's Advocacy Center, and I have been a member of PCAT for 2 years, and I am so excited to say happy anniversary! Happy 10 years! I have truly enjoyed the collaboration for education and prevention with PCAT. We have been able to combine our efforts to educate and make people more aware of prevention, and we're excited to spend another 20 years together.
Hi, my name is Denise Williams Braswell. I'm the child trauma advocate with Greenville Police Department. I have been a member of the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking for about 3 or 4 years. Since that time, I've met lots of people who have helped me to build a network of resources that can help the people that I work with. Even as recently as 2 weeks ago, thanks to a connection from the coalition and NC Stop Human Trafficking, I was able to get resources for someone who really needed it. So happy anniversary to NC Stop Human Trafficking. Now you make my job much, much easier. You're a resource and a great asset to this community.
It's time for Wildwood String Band.
All right, we're gonna play another song here called Can't You Hear Me Calling by Bill Monroe, as performed by Wildwood. Days are long, the nights are long, since you left me all alone. I worried so, my little darling, I worried so.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. I know you've heard a lot from me tonight, but now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fair trade. The fair trade business model guarantees that people who are making your products or harvesting your produce or growing your produce aren't exploited. They're making a fair and living wage, and there are no child laborers. To earn a fair trade certification, companies must adhere to. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I know you've heard a lot from me tonight, but now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fair trade. The fair trade business model guarantees that people who are making your products or harvesting your produce or growing your produce aren't exploited. They're making a fair and living wage, and there are no child laborers. To earn a fair trade certification, companies must adhere to principles that are not only ethical and fair, but also strong on equality and environment. Here at NC Stop Human Trafficking, we encourage people to buy fair trade products, because when people buy fair trade products, then companies will notice it and follow suit. The power of the dollar is amazing when you're talking about social justice. And you can vote for a world that you want with your money, and you do that through fair trade purchases. NC Stop Human Trafficking has a child organization called Fair Traders Project, and we sell fair trade products ourselves. Not only do we sell fair trade products to support those fair trade companies, but we also sell fair trade products to raise money for our community programming. Every dollar that we make from our Fair Traders Project goes right back to our community education programs. And while we're talking about fair trade, let's just talk about the impact. If somebody is afforded a fair and living wage, then that means they can send their children to school. That means if they're a woman, they're less likely to become exploited in brothels and red light districts across the world. And it improves the community, because fair trade principles require that companies give back to the communities in which they are operating in. Fair trade is a game changer, and it can change the world for better, from treating people with dignity, with equality of genders, but also with the environment. Fair Traders Project is an amazing project that NC Stop Human Trafficking does. And as all of our fair trade shows have been canceled across the state throughout the year, we've been met with a funding shortfall. But again, NC Stop Human Trafficking pivoted. We created www.fairtradersproject.org within a month and a half. So customers can go online and support us, buy fair trade products, but also support the artisans that we're supporting across the world, from India to Guatemala to Ecuador. Our products come from the hands of artisans, handcrafting it. They're all one of a kind, and they all mean something. They all are affording someone a fair living wage, a dignified work, and that's a powerful thing. For our 10-year anniversary, we became a membership organization. So we opened our organization up to individuals to come and join the movement with us. And with that, we have been met with so much success. So many people want to be a part of this amazing movement across the state. With that, I want you to hear from Heidi Yoder, a past board member, but one of our very first community members.
Congratulations, North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking, on 10 years in the movement. My name is Heidi Yoder. I am currently a member, and I was actually one of the original board members of what was then called ENC Stop Human Trafficking now. I am so proud to be part of this group and to see the impact that we have had both globally and especially locally. 10 years ago, if I would have asked somebody what human trafficking was, the response would have been, I've never heard of that. Now when I ask, oh yeah, I've heard of that. I saw a documentary, or I had a training at work, or went to a community event. I heard of human trafficking through my church when a friend of mine did a Bible study on God's heart for social justice, and I was made aware that slavery is a modern day problem. But with awareness, there needs to be action. And I was able to get connected with Pam Strickland, and it was her passion that got all this started, and here we are today. I encourage you to act. Become a member, get involved, and see how you can combat this issue. Again, congratulations on 10 years. Happy anniversary.
"2020 is a year of celebration for NC Stop Human Trafficking as we recognize our 10th anniversary and as we look back at all the good things that have occurred in those 10 years. But sometimes we must also remember times of sadness that we have experienced. For those of us involved in this organization, that time of sadness took place on September 9, 2019, with the unexpected death of one of our charter board members, Stephen C. Harding. We just called him Steve. I personally have known Steve since 1988 when I met him at Oakmont Baptist Church in Greenville, North Carolina. Steve later became the Minister of Media and Arts at Oakmont. I also met Pam Strickland at Oakmont. Steve and Pam and others from the church went on mission trips to Moldova, where human trafficking is rampant. Following those trips, Pam came back to Greenville with a determination to raise awareness here in our community and state to the travesty that is human trafficking. She started NC Stop Human Trafficking. Steve became one of the first board members and continued on the board and acted as secretary until his death. The contributions that Steve made to the board and the organization as a whole were innumerable. He used his creative talents to design posters, flyers, and t-shirts for us. He kept Oakmont informed by putting announcements about NC Stop Human Trafficking activities in the church newsletters and bulletins. While in Moldova on 4 separate mission trips, he helped educate youth and their teacher and caregivers about the dangers of human trafficking. Steve was a person who loved people. The one word that best described him was compassionate. He was a gentle soul who never wanted to demean other people. Instead, he tried to lift people up and help them see what they had as individual value. He wanted to protect them in any way that he could. He involved himself in organizations such as NC Stop Human Trafficking that had the same goals. His contributions in these efforts were invaluable. So even though the death of Steve was devastating, the remembrance of who he was, what he believed in, and the contributions he made to our organizations and to others will always bring us a sense of gladness and joy. We will always miss you, Steve. And don't forget, we love you, buddy.
We're almost to the end of this event. You'll hear Wildwood String Band one more time, and you'll hear about where we want to go in the future, right now. Greg James is going to let you know, organizationally, where NC Stop Human Trafficking wants to go, and how we need your help to do it.
We are grateful for the support of volunteers and donors over these 10 years, and to achieve our vision of a state free of human trafficking, we need to ask even more of you. We have a small staff, 2 passionate women with strong work ethics who are making an impact in the anti-human traffic movement in North Carolina. To fulfill our mission of creating communities actively working to abolish human trafficking, we need to increase our staff. We have so many opportunities to speak and to exhibit, but 2 people cannot cover the whole state. We need a training coordinator, and we need an administrative support person. We need your help to find volunteers to staff these positions or donations to fund the staff. We look forward to the next 10 years as the fight against human trafficking continues. With your help as both financial donors and volunteers, we can make our vision of a state free of human trafficking a reality.
Now let's hear from Wildwood String Band one more time.
All right, we're Wildwood, and we're back with an Allison Krauss song called Steel Rails.
Steel rails, chase the sunshine around the bend, winding through the trees. sunshine round the bend, winding through the trees like ribbon in the wind. I don't mind not knowing what lies down the track, 'cause I'm looking out ahead to keep my mind from turning back. 'Cause I'm looking out ahead to keep my mind from turning back.
Thank you so much for letting Wildwood be a part of North Carolina Stop Human Trafficking. What a great event. I'm so happy that we could have this virtually this year, and hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Thanks again.
Look forward to seeing you next year. Bye.
We are at the end of this event. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to Wildwood String Band. Thank you for listening to our past board members, our current board members, our community leaders, our organizational members. Thank you so much for listening to where we came from and where we want to go. And thank you for contributing to that. If you haven't made a donation, please go to charity.gofundme.com/BBB Fall Fundraiser. The link to that is also in the description of this video. If you haven't bid on an auction item, please go to biddingowl.com/NC Stop Human Trafficking and make your bid today. That auction is actually open until Sunday, so keep an eye on it. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to become a member and join the anti-human trafficking movement across the state, if you feel empowered to do that after tonight, we are so happy to hear that. Go to our website at ncstophumantrafficking.org and join us today.